marcellus shale, and financial challenges facing state universities. Next on Behind the Headlines.
This is Behind the Headlines, with behind-the-scenes analysis on issues affecting Pennsylvanians, sponsored by the Susquehanna Valley Center for Public Policy. Now, here's your host.
Hi, welcome to a new edition of Behind the Headlines. I'm Charlie Greenewalt, Senior Fellow of the Susquehanna Valley Center for Public Policy, and my co-host for this show is Maura Donnelly, who is an associate of Susquehanna Valley Center. Welcome back, Maura.
Hello, Charlie.
Why, we've been talking on and off over the last year about the marcellus shale formation in Pennsylvania and what that means for energy independence, for the state, energy independence for the country. And one of the things that we haven't looked at so much, though, Maura, is the development of marcellus shale. What does this mean for the people on the ground? What does it mean for the governments in the area, for the demand on government services? So we thought we'd turn to Dave Sanko and the Pennsylvania Association, the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors. Dave, you are the executive director, and we've had you on a bit recently. We're happy to welcome you back. This is something that we shouldn't be overlooking, is it? This is a big, big topic that hasn't perhaps gotten as much attention as one would have expected.
I think you're right, Charlie. This is this development is changing the face of Pennsylvania. It's changing the face of these communities, and will have an impact not only for helping reducing energy dependence on foreign sources, but great impacts on local communities, on highways, roads, the infrastructure, and quality of life.
Mm-hmm. And today you've been nice enough to bring with you someone who is intimately involved with the situation. Welcome to the show. You brought with you Mr. Marvin Meteer, who is a township supervisor from Wyalusing Township in Bradford County, and who's on the executive board of the association. So you live with this day in, day out.
Well, yes, we do. And we're relatively new at this because this whole development started about a year ago in earnest, and of course the development's going to take many years, so this is really the very beginning of it.
Well, welcome to the show. Maura, why don't you start
Well,
us
Dave,
out?
this really is a new issue. We've been talking a lot about it, but for our viewers, can you tell us a little bit about marcellus shale, what it is, what it will do for Pennsylvania, and actually probably nationally?
It's a rock formation underneath Pennsylvania and under much of or New York and West Virginia and parts of Ohio that has natural gas trapped inside of it. And recent technology has enabled that to become now affordable to extract.
Well, like all, it seems like all issues surrounding marcellus shales, there's strong opinions on both sides about whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. So I think we're going to get into some of the issues that townships are going to be facing with this issue going forward. We want to be independent in Pennsylvania, and we are Pennsylvania is right in the middle of a big swath of marcellus shale. Is that correct?
Right.
And so it's really going to be very, very helpful. Tell us just basically what the impact is going to be on townships as we move to extract the natural gas.
Well, I think as we see it growing, I mean, last year DEP issued 2,000 drilling permits, and there's estimate that number is going to eclipse 5,000 this year. So it's just growing exponentially. But the impact on townships is one that is best identified by someone who lives it every day. So I'd really defer to Marvin to talk about that.
Sure. The first impact that we probably saw was during the leasing process, because it gave money to people who, in our area, dairy farming had been a prominent part of life for a long time, and dairy farming is not what it used to be. And so, the leasing came along about the right time for a lot of those people. But it put a lot of money in people's pockets, more money than some of those people ever had before. Leasing started out at maybe $20 an acre, and I'm sure most everybody's heard by now that the prices on that's gone to $5,750 an acre.
Wow.
Not everybody, of course, had the privilege of getting that much money. After the leasing, then they started laying out the well sites, and we have a number of companies that are involved in drilling. Each one seems to find a place where they can kind of settle in. They have a majority of the properties leased, and then the companies kind of trade off back and forth so that all the properties in their drilling area would belong to them. Once they've decided where they want to locate these wells, then the impact that we see mostly is the impact of the trucks and so forth with the construction to do that. The well pads are approximately 5 acres in size, and if you ever come up to Bradford County, you'll see that you know, our terrain up there is kind of hilly, and so when you build a well pad on the side of the hill, you know, you're going to take out part of the earth from the next to the hill and then push it out the other side. And because the drilling equipment is so heavy, they put a large amount of rock base on top of the pad after they have it leveled off. So there's a lot of trucks, big trucks, that bring in this material to top off the well pads. And that's taking a toll on our roads. And of course, this has all been in the news, and we're dealing with it in a couple of different ways. With the gas companies, there's two ways to do this. It's through posting and bonding, which is a state provision, a state law, that townships can adopt an ordinance for that. Requires that they do an engineering study on their roads to determine the makeup of that road before they come onto that road. The base of the road, the surface of the road, the width of the road, everything is going to be included in that engineering study. The gas companies then are required to post a bond for that road and get a permit to use that road with their equipment. If something happens that the road is damaged, then they repair it or their bond pays off for that.
Well, if we were talking about roads, let's go back to your township of Wyalusing.
Mm-hmm.
What's been the impact of the Marcellus shale development on the roads in your township?
In our township, it's had pretty much the same kind of impact that it's had in the other townships. The roads, of course, when they were frozen through the winter, we didn't see a whole lot of effect on that. But now, as we got into spring and the thaw started to come, our roads just aren't built. And our township roads are very much like the state roads. We're all in the same boat here together. They just weren't built for this kind of traffic, the weight that they're putting onto the roads. So first thing you see is that the road starts to get kind of soft. A lot of our roads in our township are topped with oil and chips, which is a seal coat, they sometimes call it, and that begins to break up. And then as that breaks up, then the base under it starts to break up, and then it gets very rough for our residents to use those roads, get big deep ruts and this kind of thing. But we've worked very closely with the gas company. In our township, we have a maintenance agreement with the gas company, and that maintenance agreement says that the gas company will provide maintenance on the road. All we have to do is let them know, and we've done that. So I can speak a little bit here from experience that we called the gas company. I have a representative, a contact person, and told him what the problem was. And in that particular case, he got back to me the same day, said we have a contractor, gave me the name of the contractor, and then the contractor called me and told me when they would be there. And they've filled those places in. It's not perfect. It's not what we had before yet, but this is going to be an ongoing process.